I'm Orestria, and it's time for my seasonal impressions, Winter 2020. This is the show where I look back at the anime season that has just finished. I talk about what I watched, what I liked, what I didn't like, and you can all yell at me in the comments. In the doobly-doo, I now have a My Anime list. I'm sure there's more that I've seen that I've forgotten, but I did my best. First up, we have Plunderer. This was terrible. So not only was this show perverted, but they had super messed up world building. And it was especially rough because I actually thought that some of the basic premise of this show sounded really cool. Everybody has a number somewhere on their body, and that number corresponds to something. If you perform that something, then your number will go up. For example, the main girl, her number goes up from traveling, from walking. Now, it's not like one step is one number because the number on her body would be crazy. But every time she walks a certain distance, her number goes up. If their number goes down to 0, they are sucked into an abyss. And that was actually the first scene of the anime, was the main character's mother being sucked into an abyss. And that was actually cool as shit. That was like some Fullmetal Alchemist level shit. Like, I thought that was a great opening. This big titty lady, she owns a restaurant. So anytime someone says, wow, your food's delicious, her number goes up. And if someone says, oh my god, this sucks, her number goes down. There's an interesting premise in here somewhere. But like, what if she never learned to cook? No, even better. Wasn't her number 0 from the time she was a baby until, like, she learned to cook? What if she didn't want to own a restaurant and she just had to because she needed to raise her number up? Why is the main girl's number something so easy and natural, like walking? Like, everybody walks. Like, I'm in my house 90% of the time and I still walk to the bathroom and back. Alright, this is basically where I stopped watching. In this world, your number corresponds to your social status. So, literally, if you have a higher number, you are above the people with a lower number, to the point where someone with a lower number is not allowed to refuse a command from someone with a higher number. In case your mind didn't immediately go off in sirens like mine did, that means rape is legal. Hell, murder is legal. You can just say, hey, kill yourself, and they have to kill themselves. Their whole society doesn't work. Alright, here's the next problem. So, this girl walks into town, and she's talking to the local people, and the town pervert comes up and pervs on her, and then she escapes and goes to the restaurant and meets big titty lady, and the pervert comes. And, like, he's the town pervert to the point where any woman who sees him, like, it doesn't matter if he's lying on the ground in pain, their reaction is to kick him away from them. This town pervert is our main character. This guy here, I'd never seen his face, because I didn't make it far enough in the show to see his face, because he's wearing this giant, ridiculous mask. He's our main character. Ecchi is not one of the listed items here. It doesn't say anything about, like, this is some pervy shit. But this is some pervy shit. For another example, men in this show seem to have their numbers, like, here. So they can just, like, roll up their sleeve and be like, bam. Where is our chef's number? On her titty. Where's our main character's number? On her inner thigh, so that anyone who wants to see her number has to pry her legs open, which, yes, they have already done in the first episode. So yeah, I did not complete one episode. Next up is Infinite Dendrogram. I can't remember how much exactly, maybe 6 episodes of this. This is a VR MMO. It's not an isekai, nobody's trapped, they can go back and forth. In fact, if you die in the game, you're locked out of the game for 24 hours, which I think is terrible. I would not play that game. I would probably just start a new game or a different game if I had 24 hours. Because, like, I was planning on playing today and now I can't play. I guess I'm going to buy a different video game. So, in this game, you get like an egg on your arm. And then it's kind of like Eizouken's spirit guide thing from Yu Yu Hakusho, where it picks up on like your vibes and your energies, and then it turns into a different weapon or ability based on you. Not a bad idea. It's a bit rough in a video game because if you're playing a video game, you want to be able to choose what you're going to do. What if what you wanted to do was go into the game and be a sniper and the game gives you double wielding swords? Like, especially being a VR MMO, you have to like put your body out there and be doing the actions. I know I'm being picky judging the game based on whether it functions as a game, but it would be nice if it functioned as a game. But all this wasn't enough to like stop me watching. Like I watched a fair amount of this. Actually, I think if this had come out in a different season, I might have watched the whole thing. But this season I was watching a lot of shows and I just was like, you know what, this one is not worth it right now. So then what was my problem? There was something that was just grating on me. Like, first off, it's just not that interesting. Like, there's some really cool scenes and some weaker scenes. I loved the first episode overall. I thought the first episode was great. And then one of the main characters... No. Not one of the main characters from the first episode. Like, 3 characters from the first episode are not in the show anymore. 3! There are like 5 characters in the first episode and 3 of them aren't in the show anymore. So here's the thing. Our main character gets an ultra rare. Which, fine. That's what makes him the main character of our story, if you think about it. He gets this ultra rare where his stone spirit whatever egg turns into this maiden. The sword maiden, I guess. She's a girl and a weapon. A literal weapon. She turns into a sword. And he gets this ultra rare because like he's pure of heart and he like goes to save these people, and that's fine. That's all fine. That works as a story. And then he meets this other guy who also has an ultra rare hot chick as his possession. And this other guy who also has an ultra rare chick as his possession. So at this point, all our female characters are literal possessions of the male characters. And this one is literally a succubus. I'm sorry this accidentally turned into a feminist reading of Infinite Dendrogram, but the kind of thing that bothers me. Boku no tonari ni Hanako-kun hakaishin ga imasu. The kid next to me is a hell something. This is a Chunibyo show. Chunibyo characters are characters with like grand delusions. I've watched 2 Chunibyo shows so far in my life, and not the one that got really big and famous with the eye patch girl. It's on the list. I'm not sure I like the Chunibyo thing. I think it can be really funny on paper. Like, when I think about it, I can think of ways it would be really funny. Maybe it's just the 2 shows that I've watched have pulled it off very poorly, but it just is not funny in these shows. I really think it could be funny, but instead of just like showing their warped worldview, they just go on super long rants all the time. And like their story isn't even consistent with itself, and it's just like, I don't get it. I don't think I finished the first episode. Up next is Darwin's game. This was a surprise. I was hoping, that I would like it, but I didn't expect to. Ostensibly, it's a death game show. Except it's not. Okay. Definition time. To me, a death game show is a show where a finite group of people are in a location and they can't get out of that location. They are stuck in that location until only one of them survives. Battle Royale. One class of students on an island. They literally get blown up if they try to leave the island. They're all given weapons and told the last one gets to live. Death game. Another death game is Danganronpa, where, you have a group of students, they're stuck in a school, they can't get out of the school, And they're told the only way that you're going to live is if you kill one of the other students and get away with the murder. The other students don't figure out that you're the murderer. Darwin's game does not have a finite number of characters. In fact, new people can join the game. In fact, our main character is a newbie to the game. And pretty much everyone else we see in the show has been in the game longer than him. Also, instead of just being handed weapons, these characters, everybody gets their own unique superpower for joining the game. And further, this game takes place in all of Japan. Maybe all of the world. I'm not clear on that. Certainly all of Japan. So, they'll be just in Shibuya. They're literally in Shibuya in this show. And they kill somebody in Shibuya. Like, there's just normal people around. I'm not complaining, exactly. Because there are also lots of really terrible death games. Mother's Basement put out a video on this, and Jeff really helped me kind of understand my feelings towards the show. I think he pointed out that it's more of like a superhero show, because everyone has these superpowers, and they're just broadly fighting. And I don't know if he said it, or if this is kind of my take on it, but it's almost like a shonen show. The way they approach it is a lot more adult, like seinen style, but the plot is very much like a shonen show. Like, the main guy fights the main girl, he beats her, she joins his team. All of these people are pretty much people he fought and then ended up joining his team. That's Katakao Hitman Reborn. That's Dragon Ball Z. That's shonen. When you're watching a death game, say there's 20 characters, you know that at least 16 of them are gonna die. Part of the tragedy of Danganronpa is that you end up liking almost all the characters, and you know they're all gonna die. Very few characters, like main characters in this show, die. Like, the plot armor is off the scale, considering it's represented as like a death game. But if you're just there to like have fun and watch them fight this reprehensible bad guy that they're fortunate enough to have, I had a great time with it. I don't think this is something I'll ever like come back to, but I watched the whole thing and I'm not mad that I did. I did not watch Dorohedoro. I'm not planning on watching Dorohedoro. I'm sorry. You can all hate me. I saw the trailer of Dorohedoro and I saw some like people with like their skin ripped off their faces, and I'm just like, nah, bruh. I've heard really great things about it. If you like read a description of it, watch a trailer of it, and you think it sounds fun, it's probably a great time for you. I just don't want to. Next is Eizouken ni wa te o dasu ne. Hands off my Eizouken. This show, I watched all of it. I would say this show is a show that I respect more than a show that I actively liked. It's about these 3 high school girls, and they start their own club in order to create their own anime. This girl is like the creative mind behind it, and she really loves designing and world building. This girl really loves character animation, studying movement, and this girl is the coolest girl, the best character in the show. She really likes money. But not just like, it's cool because it's not just like pure greed. She really cares about making money in the sense of earning money. And she really cares that if someone did work, they get fair recompense for it. There's a critique in there somewhere about how it's trying to make capitalism look cool. Anyway, this show is really imaginative. As a show that's literally about the art of anime making, there's a lot of really cool animation in it. There was just something that didn't hit with me personally. Like, I just wasn't as into it as I wanted to be. I never had that feeling of like, oh shit, yeah, the next Eizouken episode is out. Gonna go watch it right now. Hoseki shou shi no dazo kante. Something about, like, Gem Detective Richard. I don't remember the English name exactly. I really wanted to like this because the main characters are attractively drawn and both men, so very slashable. And our titular character is a foreigner living in Japan. I feel like on a conceptual level, I can really relate to the idea of being a foreigner living in Japan. But I watched 2 episodes and I just found the drama pretty dull. And it wasn't really the kind of mysteries that you can like figure out for yourself alongside with the characters. Maybe it picks up after where I stopped watching, I don't know. It was kind of a missed opportunity with the foreigner main character because there was no reason he had to be a foreigner. The fact that he was a foreigner didn't matter any more to the plot than like the occasional random comment by someone first meeting him. He speaks perfectly fluent Japanese. Like, even Keigo, like, even the difficult stuff he's perfectly fluent with. It was just, like, an attempt to make the character seem more, like, mysterious by making him foreign. Id invaded! And yes, it is id. Like, id, ego, superego, Freudian stuff. This was maybe the best show of the season, at least in terms of what I would generally recommend. If I had no idea what someone was into, or I'm recommending it to a broad group of people, this is probably the thing I would recommend overall from this season. A lot of people have said that it's like Psycho Pass, and I haven't seen Psycho Pass, so I guess if you really like Psycho Pass, you could try watching this. I don't know how they compare. I had fun going into this one completely blind, and I thought the cold open was really good, but if you do want to hear a description, I'm going to give something of a description now. So, this is a crime organization that use a special system called the Mizuhanome to investigate crimes. Specifically, they're investigating serial killers. And the Mizuhanome is a device that can pick up someone's drive to kill. So they go to where they found a serial killer's victim or where the victim was abducted, and this device can like, beep, 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 beep. Yep, we detected the intent to kill. And then the detectives can go inside the id. They can go inside the subconscious of the serial killer and look around to find clues as to who the killer is or where the killer's living or where everything's happening. All of the id wells, the subconsciouses that they actually go into, are completely different because the serial killers are completely different. So in that way, it's like really, really interesting. There is an overall mystery to the season, which is really easy to solve as a savvy watcher. It seemed like, based on comments I was reading, most of us had it figured out by like episode 5 or 6. But I don't want to hold that against the show, because at least it was a mystery that you could solve on your own. It's not one of those shows where it's a mystery, but you have zero chance of actually figuring anything out. And the way it was presented, it was the only thing that made sense. So I'm glad they didn't try and twist it to something crazy that wouldn't have made sense. Overall, it was like a satisfying one-piece story with some interesting stuff happening in it. I mean, One Piece is in one complete segment, not One Piece. I don't know what to say about the animation in this one, because sometimes the faces on characters just look really bad. Like, off-model, flat, and weird. Itai no wa iya nanode, bogyoryoku ni Kyokou Suiri shitai to omoimasu. Or, I think I don't want to get hurt, so I'm gonna max out defense. We were just calling this max defense on the TDDC Discord. This, I watched the whole show. It is also a VR MMO. Probably a game I would rather play over Infinite Dendrogram, because you actually get to, like, choose your character's design and character class and stats. It says action-adventure. I would just call this a comedy. I would call this a straight-up comedy. I guess you could put adventure in there. What's nice about this is our main character is a girl, and in most isekai and VR MMO shows, it's a guy. And the show has lots of female characters, but they're not overly sexualized. There's no romance plot whatsoever, which, like, yes. And our two main characters are best friends in real life as well as in the game. And the comedy revolves around the fact that our main character maxed out defense to the point where, like, she can't even walk at a normal pace because she has low agility. She literally put every point, her stats are like 0, 0, 0, 1,000, 0. Her character should not function. And yet she keeps accidentally stumbling her way into becoming utterly, utterly OP. To the point where she's broken the game so hard that the game developers are like, well, she's basically a mascot now, so there's not even any point in nerfing her. There are points where this gets kind of tedious. I don't know if the pacing works better in the book, but overall it was pretty fun. It was very cute, and yeah. Now, Chibaku Shonen Hanako-kun is hands down my favorite show of the season. I don't know if it's as generally recommendable. Like, I don't know if people of many different tastes will love it, but it was so perfectly aimed at me, I don't even know what to do about it. Hanako-kun is a play on Hanako-san, which is a common Japanese folk myth. Urban legend, really. Where you go into a certain girl's bathroom in the school, and you go to a certain stall, and you call Hanako-san, and she shows up, and what she's actually supposed to do to you kind of depends on the version of the urban legend you've heard. Like, she'll drag you to hell, or she'll grant you a wish, or whatever. And yes, Moaning Myrtle, this is before that, and I don't think they're related. So this show has twisted it by making him a boy, which is very interesting, because, like, even the kanji is literally flower child. But our main character goes to the stall to try and get her wish granted, and basically ends up in servitude to Hanako-kun. If you've watched a lot of anime, especially high school shows, you might have encountered the idea of, like, the 7 wonders of the school. So this show has that going on. And basically, Hanako-kun is in charge of making sure that the wonders and the spirits of the school can coexist with the living world without any major blow-ups. The problem is, the 7 wonders get their powers from rumors. So if the rumor changes, the wonder changes. So if someone starts saying that this rumor kills you, then the rumor's going to start killing people. So they have to go and fix it. Both by, like, fighting the actual being behind the rumor and changing the rumor back to something, non-deadly. The chemistry between the main two is awesome. It's really nice to watch a show with a main character, with a main girl and a main boy, and actually ship them and actually, like, want them to get together. And it's probably dumb because he's a ghost and she's a human girl, but here I am. It's really funny, but it's also really dark. It can be really gothic. There's some kind of horrific imagery in here too. It's very colorful, but it's also very gothic, and it's just so appealing to me. I've read comments that a lot of people were turned off by the art and the animation because it's very, like, manga style. It's more like kind of paper cutouts moving around sometimes rather than, like, animation. But I loved it. I loved it a lot. I think the only reason I didn't give this, like, a 9 or 10 on my anime list is because the first season is not a complete story, and there are a lot of plots left dangling. Plots that I desperately want to know what happened in. Koisuru Asteroid. This is a cute girls doing cute stuff show. I haven't watched a lot of them. This one seemed fine. It's about 2 girls who want to find an asteroid and name it after one of the girls, because the other girl already has a star named after her. The 2 girls met as kids and made this promise, and then they grow up apart, and then they meet again in high school, but the main girl thought the other girl was actually a boy, but this mattered for about 2 seconds of the show. So maybe it wasn't that important part of the show, but that was something that had me interested in it. My main enjoyment of this show was pretending all the girls were lesbians and they were all little different couples in my head, so your mileage may vary. Kyokou Suiri, the English is Inspector. I watched maybe 6 episodes of this. So first off, let's start positive. I love the idea of this show. Our main girl found the yokai world and agreed to become their god of wisdom. So her job is to be a mediator for the spirits. So anytime they need a problem solved, they go and talk to her. She can kind of fight spirits, but she doesn't have superpowers that help her fight or anything. She meets the main guy, realizes that he's got some weird spiritual stuff going on, and recruits him to help her. The dynamics between the main two, especially in the first episode, are really strong. It was really interesting. The first episode, I was surprised by how much I liked the show, because the characters were charismatic, they were interesting playing off each other, but the show is largely talking. The show does a really excellent job of animating what they're talking about and showing it as well as having them have the dialogue. And I can see why they kept the dialogue, because it can be really interesting back and forth, but it just kind of makes the show drag. And I was kind of reading summaries of what was happening episode to episode even after I stopped watching this show, and I think 2/3 of this 12 episode run is one arc. This comes from a light novel, and I think I would really enjoy reading the light novel, because something that takes them 5 minutes in the show to have me listening to all that dialogue, I could have read in 30 seconds in the book. So my main problem is not any part of what's actually happening in the show. Okay, a little bit about the time jump. But my main problem is just the pacing. It just ends up being really, really slow. And I think if I was reading, that would solve the pacing problem, and then I would like it. Next is Magia Record Maho Shoujo Madoka Magica Gaiden. I'm actually going to make an entire separate video for this show. Long story short, watch the original Madoka. Don't watch this. If you want to see my thoughts on that, stay tuned. You can subscribe to my channel here at YouTube. You can follow me at twitter.com/Orestria, even though, frankly, I've been terrible about, actually tweeting stuff. Or you can come talk to me on the Tales from My D&D campaign Discord, where I spend way too much time. And if you want to know what I think about the current season's anime, you can see me ranting about them all on the anime channel on the Discord. Majutsu shi Orphan Hagure Tabi, or the English is Sorceress Stabber Orphan. So I remember in high school watching some of the old anime. I can't remember how much I watched. I can't remember if I liked it or not. I watched most of the first episode of this, and it was terrible. It looked bad. There are 2 comedy side characters who are painfully unfunny, and the comments under the episode suggested that they are regular characters. So I'm gonna nope out of that. Pet is a psychological suspense kind of show. The first scene was setting up the psychic powers, and that was fine. And then the next couple of scenes, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then there was a scene that made me kind of actively uncomfortable. And I'm not that into psychological shows in general, so then I just noped out. I'm not sure I feel comfortable saying this is a bad show, because I wouldn't say that I saw enough to know what it's regularly like, but it wasn't my cup of tea, and I wasn't enjoying it, and there were 7 million shows that I was watching this season, so that's where it stays. Runway de waratte. Everybody I've seen says this is using the shonen formula for a non-shonen activity for fashion design. I don't know how I feel about that description of it. I watched all of it, but honestly, by the end, I was largely watching because I'd made a prediction about what was going to happen at the end, and I wanted to see how close my prediction was to being correct. I do like the main characters, but for me, this show is really uneven, where, like, I'll really like a scene, and then I'll really hate the next scene, and I'll find one episode really strong, and then the next episode will just drag, and, like, it's hard to do a fashion show because if they walk out in this outfit and it's supposed to be amazing and I think it's blah, it's hard. And my fashion sense is this. So, it's definitely not bad. They do a good job of having side characters there to describe what's cool about what you're looking at, but it's alright. And Somali to Mori no Kamisama. Somali is the name of this little girl. There's nothing to do about Somalia here. This is a golem that lives in a forest, and his job is to take care of the forest. Kind of like the unicorn from The Last Unicorn. And then one day he finds a human child, and it's kind of a big deal, because this is a world where humans are basically extinct. They're certainly considered more or less extinct. He adopts her and takes her on a journey to try and find humans. I watched, I think, 8, maybe even 9 episodes of this. At first, I thought this was like a cute show. Cute daddy-daughter stuff. Cute fantasy world with, like, lusciously drawn, not monsters, lusciously drawn wildlife and backgrounds and scenery. It's really creative. You could, like, watch this and just steal stuff for D&D out the wazoo. And I was like, cool. I put this and Koisuru Asteroid in my, like, hey, I can watch this late at night because it's not gonna fuck me up. And then it fucked me up. Suddenly, some serious shit started to go down. And I was like, oh, shit. And I thought it was really cool that it would kind of start out as, like, a cool, peaceful show, and then, like, shit would start to hit the fan, and that was a cool idea. And I was getting really into it. And then it went back to cute shit. And, like, you can go from being cute shit to, like, oh shit, but you can't go back, because, like, you just amped up the stakes, and now it feels like nothing's happening. Nothing was happening before, but if nothing is happening the whole time, then you've got a vibe. If nothing's happening and then shit's happening, I need more shit to happen. Maybe the most horrific imagery I saw in the entire season happened in this show. Yeah, so I stopped watching it at that point. Rike ga koi ni ochita no de shomei shite mita. Oh, I was so close to getting through this. Or Rike koi. This is a romantic comedy about scientists. It's pretty good. I watched all of it. I have no major complaints. I liked the main girl. I liked the main guy. I liked them as a couple. I wanted them to get together. I laughed along the way. My favorite scene of the show, and this is about as non-spoilery as you can get, my favorite scene of the show involved the main girl, Himuro, walking down the street, and this random guy comes and tries to hit on her. Just imagine for a second how you think a girl might react to a random stranger on the street trying to hit on her. Does she, like, get dragged along? She's, like, a polite Japanese girl. Does she tell him to fuck off? Our hero whips out a laptop with a pie chart of all the reasons she is not interested in this guy. When did she make this? Does she keep this around always? And now, for this seasonal impressions episode, I am starting a new segment where I declare my personal best boy and best girl for each season. My best girl for winter 2020 is Himuro Sensei. She's awesome. Her personality is cool, but because of the show, you get to see kind of below her cool, calm exterior to see, like, her more emotional side. She's kind of the driving force in the series, because the whole thing that sets this off is her confessing to him, saying, hey, I like you. She's hot. Like, they managed to draw her in such a way and point the camera at her in such a way where she looks like an attractive, mature woman, but it's not to the point of leering. Like, she's never, like, showing a huge amount of cleavage. And you get to see, like, a really cute side of her, too. My best boy is Mitsuba from Hanako-kun. Mitsuba is not on this poster. This is Mitsuba. He is best boy. He is adorable and cute, and knows it. And because he's adorable and cute and knows it, he's bitchy. One of the reasons he's a ghost is because he was unfulfilled in his human life because he had such a bad personality that he couldn't make friends. It's adorable. Just look at that face. Just look at it. He's constantly accusing people of trying to do things to him because they want to be a pervert towards him because he's so cute. This is really funny. Also, he's actually really cute, so it works. And I slash him with one of the other characters, and he's best boy. That is it for my seasonal impressions winter 2020. Up next, I am going to make a Madoka video, and I have a plan for another video series. See you next time. Bye-bye! If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next episode, you can subscribe, or you can follow me twitter.com/Orestria. I had to record this video 3 times, and I'm really tired of recording this video, and this one better work out, and this footage better be usable, and there better be audio. Oh my god.